The Nintendo Wii U. For some, a forgotten failed console, for some others, a beloved hardware, and for me, a long story. I acquired my Wii U near launch back when I was in high school, played the most important titles that were released between 2012 and 2016, and then in 2017 immediately switched to the, well, Nintendo Switch. Last year, however, I had the pleasure to rediscover my Wii U and play tons of games I did not have, playing virtually all major titles the console had to offer, something not many can truly brag about. So, after careful thought, I decided to share my take on all titles this 8th generation console has in a longer than usual monologue. Before starting, however, it is important to highlight that of course I did not play all games this console has. Contrary to popular belief, I do have some sanity left in me, and I cannot possibly play 790 games the console has to offer just to make this video. I will discuss the 40 or so games I experienced, both exclusive as well as multi-platform titles, games that are available on the Wii U that I played elsewhere. Think of this video as the answer to the question, should I get a Wii U second hand in the year 2025, with a tier list of games. That's right, I did a tier list, 3 in fact, a list of exclusive games, another list for games that got ported to the Switch or Switch 2, and a final list of multi-platform games available on the Wii U as well as PC and other consoles. This video is already going to be long, so enough with the premises, roll the intro. And here we are with the first tier list, the games that are stuck on the Wii U. These are games that did not have a re-release, a port or a remastered anywhere else. You can currently only play them if you are in possession of an original Wii U hardware. There are 13 games in this part of this video, ordered alphabetically per tier, going from A to D. The first title we have in the A tier is The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD, a wonderful traditional Zelda game. In theory, there is the original GameCube version of the title on the Switch too, but not the original remake we are discussing today. Yes, as the name implies, it's the HD version of Wind Waker, but it does have some more improvements apart from the upscaling. If you're not familiar with the original game either, let me tell you, this is a splendid entry in the Zelda franchise. While it does have an open world like the modern titles, it still plays like the good older action adventure, with that beloved formula of linear exploration, dungeon to dungeon, with the twist of having the open sea. The cell shading did not age one bit, and the HD version does improve the lighting and the contrast. It is a very fun title to play, highly recommendable. Next up is Yoshi's Woolly World, also in A tier. This platformer title is a bit simpler than the Mario's and the Donkey Kong titles, but it's still a very joyful game to play. It's a more cozy, well-accessible, very creative adventure, even if simpler and quite permissive. It is also very fun to play co-op with a friend. I'm surprised this game was not ported because, well, it doesn't use the gamepad at all. You do not play Yoshi's Woolly World for the challenge, rather to have a relaxing experience where you can keep an eye for the collectibles and the various secrets scattered around the well-designed levels. This is an underrated game you should definitely check out. Moving slightly to the B tiers, we got the indie gem that is Affordable Space Adventure. Unfortunately, this title is no longer obtainable because it was an eShop exclusive, but let us say that there are ways to play it. This puzzle game is a splendid showcase of what the Wii U gamepad has to offer. In the second screen, the player can control a myriad of variables needed to manage the ship, always searching for that golden mean that allows them to overcome obstacles. It's quite a clever puzzle game. For some enigmas, the player really needs to pay attention to the details. Unfortunately, I cannot show you what I see on the gamepad itself, but believe me, it's quite a lot. It is quite fun to manage this small ship, and for the affordable price back then, this shorter adventure is truly a hidden gem in the Wii U ecosystem, one that cannot be easily ported to a new device. Second on the B tier is Nintendo Land, the quote-unquote Wii U version of Wii Sports. The launch title was supposed to showcase to the world what the Wii U gamepad could do, and it actually does, and it is in my opinion a solid game. It is not that memorable, but it is still a fun collection of Nintendo-themed minigames. Nintendo Land is a game that you can play with friends and have some good laughs. I had, and actually still have, a good time playing it, with the last time being a couple of months ago. Having said that, I do not see the reason why Nintendo would make a port of it, where you have to use 2 switches to play it. It seems too convoluted, but I want to give this game the spotlight for once and recommend it to people. The next game we got on the B tier is Star Fox Guard. Careful, not the Star Fox you're thinking of, that's a bit lower on the list. This is Star Fox Guard, a tower defense spin-off. Basically a puzzle adventure title where you have to use the gamepad to place and control the cameras around a beacon to protect it, a tower that is under attack by a surprisingly great variety of enemies. Miyamoto's project makes quite a creative use of the Wii U, and the game around his vision is quite polished. It deserves recognition. Guard is not extraordinary by any means, but it does need some love. The length of the game is just right, it's highly replayable, and it does have some challenging extra levels for the ones who seek a greater challenge. Then we got Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U, which, well, it's a bit of a redundant game if you already played Smash Ultimate. It is a good title, do not get me wrong, but it became obsolete, considering the Wii U version of the game does not have the same amount of side content to the Switch successor. Still, Smash Bros. For the Wii U is a solid entry in its series, and it is a well-made title, fun to play, and rich in well-crafted characters, a title Sakurai should be proud of. The last game I put on the B tier here is Zombie U. Now, I am twisting the rules of this video just a bit here, because in theory this game did get a port for the PC, PlayStation and Xbox, but the problem is that that game without the gamepad is simply not the same experience, it does not even share the same title. Zombie U is a pretty solid action horror game that makes great use of the gamepad. It feels like a Resident Evil game, maybe a bit less refined, but still with similar vibes. The atmosphere is well crafted, and as I stated, the use of the unique Wii U control scheme is on spot. Narrative-wise, it's nothing to write home about, but I do appreciate the London setting. I think the developers did a great job with the atmosphere, something quite important in a horror title like this one. The game even has a multiplayer mode, which is tons of fun to play. One person chooses where to place the zombies on the gamepad, while the other one uses the Pro Controller to fight them on the TV. I played it many times with a good friend Tito, highly recommendable. The first title to hit the C tier list is Game & Wario, which was the WarioWare style game for the Nintendo Wii U. It's similar to Nintendo Land, another minigame collection, but it feels less inspired and a bit less fun to play. It does have some fun modes, especially the multiplayer ones, but it's far from the best Wario game out there. Definitely a game to check out if you play the Wii U with friends and family, and if you are once again curious about the various ways the gamepad can be used to change up the gameplay, give it a try. Second on the C tier is Kirby and the Rainbow Course. Now this game is actually quite refined, a lovely experience I do recommend, especially if you enjoyed the previously mentioned Yoshi's Woolly World. The gameplay is relaxing, the art style is very inspired, and the overall experience is enjoyable. The problem is that this game is very brief, as in 2 hours brief. I'm not against short games, I discussed this in a previous video, but Kirby and the Rainbow Course does feel like a tech demo for a greater game we did not get. There are only 3 levels per world. Put simply, many ideas, little implementation, but still a fun game to play. The last game on the C tier, which might be a bit of a controversial pick, is NES Remix 1 and 2, which personally I did not enjoy that much despite liking the idea. I did not find the game captivating, maybe because I'm not too much into retro gaming, or maybe I did not enjoy the repetitive nature of the game structure, not too sure, but I will put it in C tier because I do recognize that this game might be enjoyed by many of you watching this video. A game that I will instead not recommend to anybody that I place in D tier is Star Fox Zero. I did not put the game in F tier because I do not believe the entry to be awful by any means, but yeah, it's not that great either, now is it? The biggest problem I have with this title are not the controllers as everybody's saying. Sure, the controllers are tedious, complex for no good reason than to showcase the gamepad's potentialities, what I truly dislike about the game is its premise, yet again a Star Fox 64 reboot. The game does not try something new at all, it feels like a Frankenstein of a game without a clear direction. Combined with the odd controls, Star Fox Zero is not recommendable. The last 2 games I placed on this tier list that do not have a rank are Devil's Third and Splatoon. The reason why I did not give a grade to Devil's Third yet is because, put simply, I have not played it yet. I do have the game, but I'm planning to make a dedicated video review about it once I actually do play it from start to finish, to see if the game is actually as awful as people remember it, or if there are some renewable qualities, like it was the case for Duke Nukem Forever, so stay tuned for that. Splatoon on the other hand cannot be graded, since the Wii U no longer has dedicated servers for their multiplayer games, making this game by definition unplayable. I suppose you can play the single player campaign, which is fine, but you're not buying a Splatoon title only to play side content. But be assured that at least Splatoon did get sequels, Splatoon 2 and 3, that currently still have running servers. Assuming the online was still on, this title would have been easily in the A tier, perhaps even higher. And there you have them, these are all the games that are stuck on the Wii U that I played and brought to the channel. There are a few absentees like Mario Maker, Twilight Princess HD and Mario Party 10, but who knows, I might play them in the future. But let us move to the next tier list, games that did get ported to the Nintendo Switch. And here we are with the second tier list, video games that originally were released for the Wii U between 2012 and 2017 that got eventually ported on the Switch ecosystem. As you may imagine, most of these titles are highly rated, since Nintendo deliberately chose to port their best lineup, selling each port at full price, of course. The one that sold the most on the Wii U that had to be ported over was none other than Mario Kart 8, the first S-tier game in this video. What can I say, Mario Kart at its greatest. I'm still debating myself if it is my favorite Mario Kart game ever, but it's up there definitely. It is truly a fantastic title, one that deserves all the praise it got. The Wii U version does not have the battle mode nor the booster course pack, and keep in mind that the online mode is also no longer playable. But still, this is the MK8 we are talking about, with the original 48 amazing tracks. A beautiful cast of characters, every track is made with love and care, a game worth every penny. If you follow the channel, then you are keenly aware that I adore this title. Speaking of very often praised games on the channel, the next S tier title is my beloved Zelda Breath of the Wild. Do I really need to explain what Breath of the Wild accomplished in game design, what the game is in its essence? Put simply, the game's a masterpiece, a revolution in the Zelda franchise, and a revolution in gaming. I don't want to repeat myself too often, I feel like I praise this game every chance I get on this channel. To keep it extremely brief, this is an open world adventure game that is like no other. One that has content but is not overwhelming, one that is grandiose but rich in detail, one that is magical but made into reality. Breath of the Wild is poetry made into a video game, an unforgettable journey. I'm not too sure if there are too big of differences between the Wii U and the Switch version. I believe the loading times may be slightly slower, but I believe the Wii U does not overheat. We have a lot of games on the A tier, starting off with Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, a very charming puzzle game which I was not expecting to put so high on the list before playing. This game is actually pretty well crafted. Not only are the levels very intelligently designed in small cube-shaped worlds, but the usage of the Wii U gamepad is a highlight of the experience. Using the Joy-Cons is simply not the same. Captain Toad deserves this praise. It even inspired me to make that video discussion regarding AA productions. A very good example of how not every game has to be developed by thousands of developers and have an overblown budget. Captain Toad works, it delivers a fun and replayable experience, and it is a joy to play, from start to finish. Retro Studios with their Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze could not miss this tier. Another platformer game, this time a higher level of challenge, one that kept me pushing forwards rather than to give up. It is a worth Donkey Kong Country game from modern hardware, available again on the Switch. Keep in mind this is a 2D DK platformer, it has nothing to do with the recently released Donkey Kong Bonanza. That game is more similar to Super Mario Odyssey. Next up, also in A tier, is Pikmin 3, a game that I would have probably never played if it was not for the old Nintendo era generosity, since it was bundled with Mario Kart 8. And yet, because it was gifted, I got to experience an amazing franchise that I now adore. The Pikmin games are a mix between real-time strategy titles combined with puzzle and survival elements, where the scope is to explore an uncharted world. Be careful not to fight too many enemies and bosses when you're not ready. Pikmin 3 is not forgiving. It is a beautiful mix of all these elements, and the game is so charming, with a nice art direction, more realistic than Pikmin 4. A very fun and exciting game to play on your Nintendo console of preference. The last game on this tier is Super Mario 3D World. Similar to Super Mario 3D Land, this title is a crossroad between the 3D Mario games like Odyssey and 64 and the 2D games of the new Super Mario Bros. Series. As visually all Mario games, it is a very fun game to play, a blast both played in single player as well as in couch co-op. Nintendo at its purest form and essence. The Switch version has additional Bowser's Sphere expansion that unfortunately the Wii U lacks, but the rest of the base game is still on the disc, and if you're a platformer enjoyer, you're missing out by not playing 3D World. Moving on to the B tiers, we only have two games, New Super Mario Bros. U and its spin-off New Super Luigi U. When these games were released, they were the fourth entry of the New Super Mario Bros. Miniseries, and they felt a little bit repetitive and uninspired. And while yes, they definitely do not hit as hard as Mario Wonder, these two platformers are still solid and well made. They offer a good challenge, plenty of levels, and are very replayable. Out of the two, I would especially recommend New Super Luigi U, because that title is uniquely challenging. Every level is only 100 seconds and you are always on the run, taking advantage of Luigi's higher jump. The sole game in C tier here for me is Hyrule Warriors. I must confess that I'm not too big of a fan of Musou titles, so there's a negative bias from my end. Despite that, I found the title to be playable and somewhat fun. I would have probably never given the game a chance if it was not for the Zelda theme. Still, Musou games are hack and slash titles brought to their exaggerated extreme, where thousands of enemies are defeated with a single sword swing. Not my cup of tea really, but it is somewhat satisfying defeating so many enemies in a single level. I think the Switch version runs a little bit better. The last two games on this list are yet again not classifiable, both because I simply did not complete them and thus cannot give a full evaluation. The first one is Pokken Tournament. It was a fun title at first, but I'm not too big in fighting games, so I never actually finished it. From my understanding, the title is alright, but not too present in the competitive scene. The other game I played but did not complete was Xenoblade Chronicle X, a title I did not enjoy and did not see the point of continue after 10 or so hours of gameplay. The title simply did not click with me. I found it disorientating, repetitive, and with a bad user interface. To my understanding, the game becomes more enjoyable after 20 or so hours, when the robots are unlocked, but I did not want to wait until then. Play it at your own discretion. So there you have them, all Wii U games I have played that got ported to the Nintendo Switch. Again, a few missing titles here, mainly Tokyo Mirage Session FE and Bayonetta 2, that again I did not play. Anyhow, let us move to the third and final tier list of this video. And here we are with the third and final tier list of today. Games that were released and are available on the Wii U, that are also playable elsewhere, like the PC, PlayStation or Xbox. Myself, I played many of these games elsewhere. As you can guess, there are not that many games published by Nintendo, but games you can play on this fabulous console. Since there are 20 games here, I will be a bit briefer with my reviews. Kicking off the list, we have Child of Light, the sole S tier present here. This RPG made by Ubisoft Montreal is magnificent, one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. This may sound like a big verdict for a relatively small game, but believe me, I was truly captured by this incredible adventure. The 15-hour story is fantastic, a fable told like no other, and the gameplay is on spot, fun to play from the first encounters to the final boss. First of the 80s is Assassin's Creed Black Flag, my favorite game of the franchise that is the least AC of them all. Playing like a pirate in this immense open world game is an experience like no other. It's extremely fun to explore the Caribbean Sea. You get to be a pirate captain, to manage your ship and to chart your adventure. Of course, the PlayStation 4 version has higher graphics, but from my understanding, the Wii U version is still very valid. Another game that is high on the list is DuckTales Remastered, a well-made remake of the original NES classic. The artwork is on spot, the levels well designed, and the difficulty is well balanced for experts and newcomers alike. It has been a while since I last played it, but I have very good memories of this title. Another platformer game that I also played a long time ago available on the Wii U is Shovel Knight. Similar in gameplay as DuckTales, but it looks backwards and tries to emulate that charming and crispy pixelated look. Wonderful love letter to the OGs. I believe the song of the games were made with the same technology of the 80s to give it that extra bit of fidelity. Going to B-tier games now, we have Deus Ex Human Revolution, a title that I played on Steam. It's a very well-made role-playing game that mixes first-person and third-person action with RPG elements. There are people that really love this franchise, but personally I did not fall in love with it. Still, I like this title. The plot tackles very philosophical questions about humanity and the future of mankind. The second B-tier title here is Never Alone, which I reviewed some time ago. It's a nice indie title inspired by native Alaskan tales, where you play as a fox and as a young girl, a lovely narrative experience with some good gameplay as a conturn. Moving on, we got Raise the Sun, which is a solid arcade game. Not extraordinary by any means, but I had a good time playing it on my computer. It is an endless loop formula that can be enjoyed in the background, with a very inspired minimalistic art style. A game that I played very recently, also in B tier, is Shantae Half Genie Hero. Now, though I like this game and believe there is love behind it, I do have some problems with this title. I do enjoy the Metroidvania formula combined with the platforming, but some parts of the games felt too disconnected or forced together. I don't know why, but I truly struggled in more than one point. Still, I believe it to be a very well made game. Last game on the current tier is Sniper Elite V2, for some the best of the franchise. I'm not too sure how the Wii U gamepad is actually used, if you actually aim with it, but despite this, I'm sure the game is fully playable on this console. It is a bit of an older style action adventure title, perhaps one that did not age very well. I do have good memories playing though. Let us move down to the C tiers with Assassin's Creed 3. As you can guess, not my favorite Assassin's Creed. Maybe I do have a bias because I played it after the second one, but I recall that I simply did not like the characters and the overall arching plot. Gameplay wise it's fine, but definitely far from a title I would suggest for a non-fan of the series. The reason why I did not play and thus discuss Bayonetta 2 is because I consider the first title to be in C at best. The first Bayonetta game did not click with me. True, I'm not too big of a fan of titles like No More Heroes or Devil May Cry, but still, I was hoping to change this fact by playing Bayonetta, and yet here we are. It is a well-made game, but simply not the type of games I usually play. LEGO Sin Undercover joins the C tiers, even if I did enjoy playing at the time when it came out. It was the first LEGO game to have an open world, and it does feel like a prototype, since it is quite empty of things to do. Still, it is an easy and relaxing game to play if you do like the LEGO titles, and it does at least try to use the gamepad somewhat. Still in C tier, we have Minecraft Story Mode, the Telltale game based on the famous bestseller. This is your typical choose-your-own-adventure book game Telltale was famous for, just with a Minecraft theme skin. When I played it, I was still a big fan of Minecraft, so I did adore it, but now I would probably not have a good reason to pick it up again. Not bad as you may imagine a game like this to be, but not a masterpiece either, probably best suited for a younger audience. I think I'm quite generous to put Sonic and All-Star Racing Transformed in C tier and not lower, since it is clearly outclassed by Mario Kart. but when I did play it on Steam, I actually had somewhat fun, so it does deserve some credit for that. It plays a bit different than a Mario Kart title, worse I would claim, but it's still a fun racing game, themed with various Sega IPs such as Skies of Arcadia, Jet Set Radio, and of course Sonic himself. Speaking of Sonic, we got Sonic Lost World as the last game in the C tier, also a game I thought about putting lower. This title is not Sonic at its best, but it is still somewhat well made, with colorful levels and a fluid gameplay, something many Sonic games cannot brag about. The Wii U edition of the game does have some extra levels based on Zelda and Yoshi, so that's cool I guess. The sole D-tier game reserved for this section of the video is the infamous Ubisoft flop, Watch Dogs. The title needs no introductions, especially the old-gen version of the game that is present on the Wii U. To be honest, I do not detest Watch Dogs that badly, even made a video about it, but the old generation version of the game has far more technical issues that damage an already mediocre game. I suppose it is the sole GTA style game available on the console, but I would not buy a used Wii U just to play this entry. The last two games on this list are again titles I cannot grade, not because I did not play them, in fact I love them both, but because I'm not too sure on what version they're stuck on the Wii U. I'm talking about Minecraft and Terraria, two sandboxes games that get constant updates on the PC even to this day, leaving it challenging to judge their discontinued Wii U version. Check them out after conducting your own personal research. I also cannot grade the Wonderful 101, since I only played the first few levels, but seeing how much I did not enjoy Bayonetta, maybe it's for the best we close it up here. But anyways, these are all the 40 plus games that I've played and rated released on the Nintendo Wii U. If I truly wanted to be pedantic, there are some fan-made unofficial ports, including Sonic Mania, Cuphead, Celeste, and of course the first Doom, but I will not dive into that rabbit hole. Let's just give them an A for effort. So there you have them, all the Wii U games I've played that I mostly recommend. This console has a respectable library, and if you have a Wii U and, let us say, means to obtain games, then grab the gamepad, the paddone, and start playing. Even if it is a Wii U themed video, I do want to highlight that some of these games are available on other consoles, so even if you do not intend to buy an oldie, you can still play 2/3 of the games discussed today. If you made this far, I wanted to thank you one too many Wii U times for watching today's video. This video is very different from what I usually do. I really wanted to push my limits a bit and aim for a 5,000 word script. I think it is going to be a video longer than 20 minutes. Did I convince you to buy a used Wii U yet? Let me know down in the comments below. I wish you all a wonderful day. And until next time, arrivederci.